Hare Krishna. So, so today we are very, very fortunate that we have with us His Grace Radhika Vallabh Prabhu. So Prabhuji's brief introduction I would like to give here. So Prabhuji has completed his BTech and MTech from IIT Mumbai, and after the brief job in IT industry, he joined the ashram at Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir, ISKCON Chapati in 2003. Since then, Prabhuji has been learning, practicing, and teaching different shastras of Sanatan Dharma, such as Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharat, and etc. And we have also seen Prabhuji giving classes in our Bhakti Vaibhav time. So, very nice philosophical classes. I personally have heard also Prabhuji is giving classes in Bhakti Shastri. So, Prabhuji brings many points from different acharyas, commentaries, and many, many different views and very deep philosophical. So many devotees would like to hear from Prabhuji. So let us welcome His Grace Radhika Vallabh Prabhu to this Bhaktivedanta classes by chanting 3 times. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीर्उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So My humble obeisances to all the devotees from Vrindavan Chandra Temple in VCC, both brahmacharis and whatever congregation devotees are present through Zoom. So in this 2 weeks, we are going to discuss ninth canto chapter, first 7 chapters. Ninth canto, very less purports, because we will have the Ambarish Maharaj story, which is filled with many nice purports. But otherwise, many other chapters have very less purports. I will try to concentrate on the storyline and highlight some of the points. And I see there are many experienced senior devotees are also there. Others can also share or whatever questions we can churn some questions points during the discussion. And so we begin from the 9th canto, first chapter. Shri Raja Uvacha Manvantaraani Sarvani Tvayoktani Shrutani Me Viryanyananta Viryasya Harestatra Kritani Cha. Somebody can read translation. How do we?
King Parikshit said, "My lord, Shukdev Goswami, you have elaborately described all the periods of the various Manus, and within those periods, the wonderful activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited potency. I am fortunate to have heard all of this from you."
So we see 9th canto begins with Parishit Maharaj's questions in the first 5 verses. In these verses, Parishit Maharaj is asking questions about the dynasty of the Manus. Shukdev Goswami has actually described about the Manvantaras. Till the 8th canto, he described about various Manvantaras. After Manvantara, there is Ishanukata, Manvantara and Ishanukata. So now in this particular chapter, in this particular canto, Parishit Maharaj has already heard the Manvantaras. In the Manvantara, Shukdev Goswami described who will be the Manu, who will be the Manu Putra, and what is the form of the Manvantara Avatara, the Saptarishi, and the Indra, who will be the Indra in that particular Manvantara, and then the Devatas. So these 6 personalities are described by Shukdev Goswami till the previous canto. Now, in this particular canto, especially in the beginning of this particular canto, Parishit Maharaj is asking about the dynasty of the Manus. Dynasty of the Manus. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti gives a brief outline of the 9th canto. He says that in the 9th canto, topics related to the followers of the Lord. Topics related to the followers of the Lord are called as Isha Anukata, and they are described in the 9th canto with the intention of propagating Bhakti, Vijnana and Vairagya. So, like there are many stories of the different kings who come in the dynasties of the Manvantaras. They are described in various Puranas. Even in the Mahabharata, describes maybe the various kings. These stories of the kings are also come in the Mahabharata. But in the Bhagavatam describes these stories. The focus of describing these stories is that with the intention of propagating Bhakti, Vijnana and Vairagya. So the same story can be seen from different points of view. For example, say suppose a big event takes place, suppose a big say Pandal program, Vyasa Puja of a spiritual master takes place. So different people attend the Vyasa Puja and different people can describe the event from different points of view. So somebody may describe the Vyas Puja. Oh, this was a very nice Vyas Puja. Different devotees spoke so wonderfully. They had they shared these realizations, and they may share what they have heard in the Vyas Puja. And somebody else may describe, oh, this Vyasa Puja Pandal was so good. The design and architecture was excellent. They may describe the event from a architecture or from the indoor design point of view. And somebody else may be coming from the sound system background. He may describe the event from a sound system background. Oh, this sound system was improper, or this thing. And somebody else may say, oh, uh, what a varieties of eatables they were served. Somebody may describe from the point of view of the number of food items served. So similarly, the same event can be described from different points of view. All are true. So similarly, these stories of the dynasties of the Manus can be described from different points of view. The point of view which Bhagavatam is choosing to focus upon is the intention of propagating bhakti, vijnana, and vairagya. That's why you'll find, I think I'm not remembering the exact words, but there's a verse in the 12th canto towards the end, where Shukadeva Goswami says that Bhagavatam describes the stories of the different kings with the intention of propagating bhakti, jnana, and vairagya. So with this, like in the ninth canto, we will find the stories of Ambarish Maharaj, especially 4th and 5th chapter. And then we will find the vairagya will be described, especially to the story of Yayati. And then we will especially see the dynasty of sun god and moon god. Soma and Chandra dynasty in the 9th canto. And so first 13 chapters, the 13th chapter describe the sun dynasty, 11th chapter describe the moon dynasty. So in the first chapter, we will see the story of Sudyumna, Sudyumna becoming a woman. Very fascinating story. So we'll go through the first few verses. So in the first few verses, first Parishit Maharaj is asking questions. So this question is in connection with what was described by Shukadeva Goswami in the last chapter of the 8th canto. The last chapter of the 8th canto, Shukadeva Goswami described about Matsya Avatar and King Satyavrata. And how Satyavrata, King Satyavrata became Manu by the mercy of Matsya Avatar. So Parishit Maharaj is asking a question. Yosau Satyavrato Nama Rajarishir Dravideshwaraha Jnanam Yotita Kalpante Lebe Purusha Sevaya Savai Vivasvata Putro Manurasit iti Shrutam Tvattastasya Suta Prokta Ikshvaku Pramuka Nripa. You can read the translation till the 5th verse.
Satyavrat, the saintly king of Dravida Desh, who received spiritual knowledge at the end of the last millennium by the grace of the Supreme, later became Vaivasvata Manu, the son of Vivaswan, in the next Manvantara period of Manu. I have received this knowledge from you. I also understand that such kings as Ikshvaku were his sons, as you have already explained. Text number 4. O greatly fortunate Shukdev Goswami, O great Brahmana, kindly describe to us separately the dynasties and characteristics of all those kings, for we are always eager to hear such topics from you. Text 5. Kindly let us about the abilities of all the celebrated kings born in the dynasty of Vaivasvata Manu, including those who have already passed, those who may appear in the future, and those who exist at the present.
So we see here Parishit Maharaj is saying, is actually mentioning about what he heard about Satyavrata. And he says that I understand that in the dynasty of Satyavrata, actually his name is Shraddha Deva. He becomes the Vaivasvata Manu. Satyavrata was the previous name. So he later becomes a Vaivasvata Manu. And especially kings like Ikshvaku took birth in Vaivasvata Manu. And please describe the dynasties of these kings. So we can see in these verses the amazing eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj. And he makes such a statement in the 5th verse. Please tell us about the abilities of all the celebrated kings born in the dynasty of Vaivasvata Manu, including those who are already passed and those who may appear in the future and those who exist at present. So Parikshit Maharaj does not want to leave out actually any personality. Like if he's like previously in the 8th canto beginning, Parikshit Maharaj said that kindly describe to us whatever activity the Supreme Personality of Godhead who created this cosmic manifestation has performed in the past Manvantara and who is performing in the present Manvantara and will perform in the future Manvantara. He showed eagerness to hear about the activities of the Manvantara avatars in the past, present, and the future. And now he's saying that please tell about the dynasties of the kings in the Manvantaras in the past, present, and in the future, who will appear in the future. Like similar verse comes in the 11th canto, 4th chapter. Nivi Maharaj is asking to Karbajana Rishi, please tell us about the various pastimes of Lord Hari. Pastimes Lord Hari has performed in the past and is performing now and will perform in the future in the various incarnations. So we see that normally many times the people are interested in the contemporary topics. They want to hear about the contemporary personalities. When you start a topic, there was a king named who lived in this particular era. Or what to speak of a king, when you talk about even say some ancestor or somebody, how the life was there, even say a few decades back or 40 years back, many times people they switch off from such narration. So, but Parikshit Maharaj, he doesn't want to miss out on any incarnation of the Lord in the past, in the present incarnation, or in the future. And not only about the incarnation of the Lord, he is also wanting to hear about the different kings who appeared in the dynasty of Vaivasvata Manu. Because currently the Vaivasvata Manvantara is going on. Parikshit Maharaj was there 5,000 years back. The past kings, present kings, and the future kings. So generally, one of the modern conception is that anything old is bad. Darwin's theory is actually giving such kind of a conception. They say our ancestors were the monkeys. So essentially they try to say that right now we are the most evolved species. We are at the highest stage of development or advancement in technology. Whatever was there previously, they were all primitive. So the same mindset comes. People want to hear about contemporary personalities. Yeah, definitely from contemporary persons we should hear. We can learn more like current challenges, how they practice the dharma and bhakti in the current times. But at the same time, we cannot neglect the personalities who appeared in the past. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one place that recent Mahajanas are more important than even the previous Mahajanas, like that he mentions. So, yeah, from the point of view of the Supreme Lord, in order to attract the conditioned souls, he comes again and again in different incarnations. And sometimes, yeah, the previous incarnations of the Lord, they may not be very famous now. For example, Hamsavatara. How many temples of Hamsavatara are there? Or for that matter, even how many temples of Varaha Avatara? Huh. So some of the previous incarnations are not so famous, even because that's the nature of the time factor. Time factor that even makes people forget about the previous incarnation. The Lord comes again and again in order to become more and more relevant to the conditioned souls in the Bharatvarsha. And but at the same time, but from the point of view of a devotee, although a devotee may be more interested in the recent Yugavatara, but still a devotee does not neglect the narrations of the previous incarnations. A devotee may have a particular Ishtadeva, but at the same time, a devotee does not neglect the previous incarnation. Shukdev Goswami, his Ishtadeva, he is a parrot of Srimati Radharani, but Shukdev Goswami narrates all the incarnations of the Lord in the Bhagavatam. And also we find this kind of enquiries by Parishit Maharaj, because one thing we find in because Parishit Maharaj's inquiries are actually taking the Bhagavatam forward. When a person actually develops the genuine quality of inquiry, in fact, this inquiring about the spiritual subject matter, it is called a Saddharma Pricha. This is one of the item of bhakti. And by inquiring about the spiritual subject matters, we can raise the level of our faith. Sometimes when a person is brought up in a, say, in a devotee family, in a dharmic family, because of being brought up in that family, they follow a particular tradition and the rituals and practices right from the childhood. And when that person grows up, when he meets with different friends in the colleges or in the school, and when they start questioning about that particular person's belief system, at that time his belief system gets challenged. So at that time, if that person has to protect his faith, which he has inherited because of being taking birth in a particular family, then he has to elevate his faith from the second-hand faith to the first-hand faith. Second-hand faith means because his parents were following a particular culture, he was actually following those particular, say, rituals and practices. Not because he himself was convinced in that. But then now when his college friends are challenging them, if his faith is on the same level, the second-hand faith, then that second-hand faith will not actually survive for a long time. That is like a old version of a software. Old version of a software cannot actually, it will make the device very slow actually. Newer and newer apps will come, etc. updates. So you have to update the software. So you have to update your level of faith from the second-hand faith to the first-hand faith. First-hand faith means you follow the process not because your father and mother were doing, but because you were convinced about that particular process. So how do we come to that level of conviction? Only at that time you have to start inquiring why we are doing what we are doing. So therefore, this this quality of inquiring about the spiritual subject matters, that itself is an item of bhakti. What to speak of getting answers to the question, that is the next step. But even the step wanting to inquire, that itself is an item of bhakti. So Parishit Maharaj is inquiring. So Sutta Goswami begins. Evam Shri Suta Uvacha Evam Parikshita Rajna Sadasi Brahmavadinam Prishta Provacha Bhagavan Shuka Paramadharmavit.
Sutta Goswami said, when Sukdev Goswami, the greatest knower of all religious principles, was thus requested by Maharaj Parikshit and the assembly of all the scholars learned in Vedic knowledge, he then proceeded to speak.
Shukdev Goswami, who is Paramadharmavit, the greatest knower of the religious principles, he proceeded to speak. So Shukdev Goswami says, O subduer of the enemies, Parantapa, hear from me in detail the dynasty of Manu. It is not possible to speak everything even in hundreds of years. So you can imagine even the subject matter about the dynasty of Manu is so great that one cannot describe it even in hundreds of years. So in order to come to the point of describing the dynasty of Manu, Shukdev Goswami begins from the point of view of creation, from the point of creation. So at the end of the annihilation of the universe, that time the whole universe was in a unmanifested state, the cosmic manifestation, nothing existed. So and then when the time for creation came, from the navel of the Supreme Lord, a golden lotus came and Lord Brahma took birth. And then from the mind of Lord Brahma, Marichi took birth, and from Marichi, Kashyapa appeared. And from Kashyapa in the womb of Aditi, who is the daughter of Daksha, Vivaswan took birth. And from the Vivaswan in the womb of Samya, Shraddha Deva Manu was born. So the Shraddha Deva Manu is also called as Vaivasvata Manu. And this Shraddha Deva Manu, having conquered his senses, he begot 10 sons in the womb of his wife Shraddha. And the names of the 10 sons are Ikshvaku, Nriga, Sharyati, Drishta, Karushaka, Narishyanta, Prishadra, Nabaga, and Kavi. So before he got 10 sons, initially Vaivasvata Manu did not have any sons. So when he did not have a son, he approached the sage Vasishta. You will find that in the 9th canto, this Vasishta, he will come in many stories. Especially Vasishta will be known for his over cursing more than required. In many stories he will come. So in order to get a son, he approached Vasishta. And Vasishta Rishi performed a sacrifice to satisfy the demigods Mitra and Varuna. And so Vaivasvata Manu, he desired a son. But Vaivasvata Manu's wife, that is Shraddha, she was also performing the sacrifice, because in the Vedic fire sacrifice, it is performed combinedly by the Yajaman and the wife. In fact, one of the important qualifications is if a person is not married, he cannot be the Yajaman. Or if he does not have, if wife is not there, he cannot be the Yajaman. And wife also has a different roles to play actually. There are specific tasks in the fire sacrifice which only the wife has to do that personally. So Shraddha was also performing the sacrifice, and she had a desire to get a daughter, and she, without informing her husband Vaivasvata Manu, is the volume all right? Is everyone able to hear?
Yes, Prabhuji, little more it can be, then it will be more better.
Acha. Mine is computer volume is full. I don't think there is a way to increase. I think. Is it increasing now? Or?
Hare Krishna, is it okay for the Mataji को वो करो.
Okay. Okay, I'll continue. So Shraddha, she approached the priest without informing her husband. She said that please actually offer oblation so that I can get a daughter. And and because of that, being ordered by Shraddha, because as I mentioned in the fire sacrifice, the Yajaman and his wife both are the main crucial, both play an important role. And this particular Ritvik being ordered by Shraddha, he actually chanted a particular mantra by which the daughter will be born. So because of that, a daughter named Ila was born. So by seeing that, Shraddha Deva Manu or Vaivasvata Manu was pleased because at least he got an offspring. He didn't have any child. But at the same time, he was not too satisfied. Nati Tushtamana. He was not too satisfied because he was expecting a son. So then he actually spoke to his guru Vashishta that how is it that the result of the sacrifice is opposite actually. You people are expert in actually performance of the Vedic fire sacrifice. You are all Brahmavadinam. You are the knowers of the Vedas. And Viparyayam aho kashtam. This is unfortunate. Viparyayam. There should not have been such a reversal of the results of the Vedic mantras. Because in the Vedic fire sacrifice, when you perform everything properly, there will be exact result. There will no some. There will not be even there will not be even different result, some minor change or something. So, but when different result has come or when there no result has come, that means there must be some mistakes. Yuyam Brahma Vido Yuktas Tapasa Dagda Kilbisha Kutas Sankalpa Vaishamyam Andritam Vibhudeshiva. So you are all conversant with the Vedas. Tapasa, you are endowed with austerity. Dagda Kilbisha, you have destroyed all the sins. And then Kuta Sankalpa Vaishamyam, how did your desire become thwarted? Andritam Vibhudeshiva, as if the demigods were lying. So Vaivasvata Manu, it's not that out of some stubbornness or some unjustified anger he is approaching. He could see that these Brahmanas were qualified. They were qualified in the Vedas. Sometimes a person may be qualified in chanting of the Vedic mantras, but then they may not have the proper austere lifestyle, or they may have certain impurities. But here, Vaivasvata Manu is saying that you are qualified in all respects, but still, how is it that I got a daughter instead of a son? So we see, like there are so many stories in the Bhagavatam in relation to the actually getting a son or a daughter. Like something which I can recollect is, like we see the famous story of Chitraketu Maharaj. So Chitraketu Maharaj, he wanted a son, but despite getting married so many number of times, he had no sons after many marriages. And how like people have certain expectation, but the reality of the world is that their expectation is not fulfilled. Chitraketu Maharaj somehow he forced Angila Rishi to give him a son, but then the son was taken away. Son died in a short time. And Hiranyakashipu, he wanted a demoniac son, but he got a devotee son. And Anga Maharaj wanted a devotee son, but he got a demoniac son. Shraddha Deva Manu wanted a son, but he got a daughter. So we find that one consistent thing in the nature of the world is that we say padam padam yad vipadamna tesham. There is a danger at every step. So there is a danger at every step. It is not only some kind of a physical danger, but in a broader, when we see this principle in a more generic way, padam padam yad vipadamna tesham, that means that something which is against our expectation will happen in our life. It may not be only some physical accident or a death or something which is unexpected thing that happens in our life. So in all these personalities case, like something somebody expected a son, or somebody expected a demoniac son or a devotee son. So in these stories, when we want to get a particular, when we want a particular thing, when we want a particular result from an action, so there are different factors involved in that action which will give the desired result. So we know the famous verse in the Gita. Krishna talks about the 5 factors of action: adhishtanam tata karta, karanam cha pratak vidam, vividas cha pratak cheshta, daivam chaivatra panchamam. The body, the false ego, the senses of the various types, the life years and with life years to the various functions, and the super soul. So so here in the case of Vaivasvata Manu, he wanted a son, but then his wife wanted a daughter. So many times a particular desire, it also needs to be supported by another personality. The wife is like inseparable from the husband. She is called as Ardhangini. And sometimes a person is executing a particular task with a particular desire, but he may not be aware that some other team member or some other subordinate may be wanting a different result through the same particular task, and he may do something with that particular intention in mind, which the person above may not be aware only. So here we see when the desires of the husband and the wife both don't match, how it resulted in a chain of events. Man becoming women, and then women becoming man, and women becoming man. So many times it will happen in the story, actually. But it all started with it all started with, like many Bhagavatam, many stories. It starts with a small thing, like there's a term in the physics that I don't know whether it is the right term, some deterministic chaos theory or something, or some other name, I don't know. Some small change in some particular portion of the world that will cause a big change in another place of the world. One cycle tire got burst in a particular place, and that cycle tire led to a cyclone in another place. So you may think, how can it lead to cyclone in another place? But the cycle, it's like a chain of events. There was one movie which I saw long back. It was a hero was trying to kill a villain. There was a big complicated structure was there. and you would just put a small ball in a particular hole, and that ball would go and hit something, and that would hit something, that would hit something, and then finally a sharp arrow will be released on that person, the villain, and then the villain would die. So the whole story starts with a small this thing. The wife's desire was different from the husband's desire. So Chitraketu Maharaj's story starts with Indra not getting up. It appears like a small thing, but how it resulted in a series of events. Lord Shiva not getting up to respect Daksha Prajapati, how it resulted in a series of events. So here we see Shraddha Deva Manu, he had a desire to get a son because as a king, he had to create a responsible legacy. Success without succession is a failure. Somebody is successful in accomplishing many tasks, but if he does not create a succession, it is considered a failure. So from that point of view, he was wanting to have a son. But Shraddha Deva Manu's wife's desire was a more personal desire to get a daughter. It was not connected with creating a legacy for the dynasty. So because of this, that they got a daughter Ila. And then so our Shraddha Deva Manu is asking this question, why such a result has happened? Result has come, I have got a daughter. So Vasishta Muni, he could understand the discrepancy with his mystic Siddhi. He could understand that actually Shraddha Deva Manu's wife approached the Hota and asked for the daughter. And therefore he could understand that. And then Vasishta Rishi told to Shraddha Deva Manu that it is because of the priest's deviation from the original purpose. Therefore, you have got a daughter. But by my own prowess, I shall give you a good son. And then he says, then Vasishta Rishi, he offered prayers to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And then with a desire to transform Ila into a male. So Vasishta Rishi, then by the Vishnu appeared, and by the blessings of Vishnu, that Ila was transformed into a male called a Sudyumna. Sometimes there are certain places in the world where there are sex change clinics are famous. One devotee was sharing that long back he had gone to Bangkok, and he said that Bangkok is a city where the sex change clinics are in large in number in the world, because Bangkok is a place people come for. Actually, the prostitution is highly prominent there. People actually change their sex from male to female so that they can earn money through prostitution. So he was saying that people go to enjoy there. They don't know that whether that person is originally a female or he was a male transformed into female. So the sex change clinics are there. Even recently, there was an article I came across that how in America there are many sex change clinics are there, and many young girls, when they go through depression or frustration, and then they go to these clinics and then they change their sex from female to male. And that article was analyzing that how that is lead, and then after making the decision, after some time they realize that how they have made a wrong decision, because their body is changed, but still maybe their psychology is still that of a female, but they are in a male body, and then how it is resulting in even greater problems in their psychology and their social life, everything. And they regret the decision of actually doing that, indulging in that sex change, undergoing that particular surgery. So we find that in the modern world, people undergo sex change because of frustration. And then another, they undergo sex change through artificial means of surgery. But here, Vasishta Rishi, he actually he attracted the superior power, and by the blessings of Vishnu, Ila was transformed into Sudyumna. So this also, of course, there are not many purports here. And then the Sudyumna, like sometimes certain things have happened, and when we want to change that situation through some way or other, we may change it for some time, but later the same original situation comes back. So sometimes when we don't accept the particular situation, and then when we try to put effort repeatedly to change the situation, then we may eventually come back to the original situation, and we may further complicate it also. And that's what is going to happen here. So maybe our Bhagavasvata Manu could have accepted, okay, I've got a daughter, Ila. Maybe he could have tried another sacrifice to get a son. But somehow, then by his request, Ila was transformed into a male Sudyumna. But Sudyumna again will become a female. So that hero Sudyumna, once he, along with his ministers, he went to the forest for hunting or something. And in pursuing the forest, in pursuing the animals, he went to a particular part of the forest. And this particular forest is in the foot of Mount Meru in the northern direction. And then he entered a forest called a Sukumara Vana. And in this Sukumara Vana, Lord Shiva enjoys with Uma. So when Sudyumna, who was expert in subduing the enemies, entered the forest, he realized that he himself had become a woman. And his male horse also transformed into a female horse. And he saw that all his followers also were transformed into females. And everyone looked at each other in confusion. And Parishit Maharaj, when he hears it, he immediately asks a question, like, what is this place actually? That what is this empowered special place that all the males were transformed into females? I'm very curious to know about this. And Shukdev Goswami mentioned that some sages who were fixed in their vows, once came to see Lord Shiva, who was residing in that forest. So this particular forest is actually in the Ilavrata Varsha, I guess. There is mention of this even in the fifth canto. The fifth canto on the Ilavrata Varsha. Lord Shiva is surrounded by some 1 billion ladies who are assisting Lord Shiva and Uma. So once some sages came to this place to meet Lord Shiva. So at that time, Goddess Ambika was in an inappropriate posture in private with Lord Shiva. So when she noticed that the sages have come to see Lord Shiva, like she felt embarrassed because she was in an inappropriate posture, and then she immediately got up from the lap of her husband and put on her cloth. Then the sages noticed that Lord Shiva and Ambika are in an intimate posture. They immediately refrained from going further ahead, and they departed from that place, and then they went to the ashram of Naranarayana Rishi. So at that time, Lord Shiva, in order to please his wife, Lord Shiva said that if any male tries to enter this place, that person will immediately become a female. So since that time, no male had entered that forest. And now, after a long time, Sudyumna, he entered that forest along with his associates, and all of them actually transformed into females. So Prabhupada quotes Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Navani Grishnati Naroparani Tata Shariran Vihaya Jirnan Anyani Sanyati Navani Dehi. How the body is just like a dress. Sudyumna and all his associates, their dress was changed from a male dress to the female dress. So you can read the further verses. So yeah, I'll read. So then when Sudyumna became a female, so the son of the moon god called as Buddha, he got attracted to Sudyumna, and then he developed a desire to attain Sudyumna. And Sudyumna in the female form, she also desired to accept Buddha. And then both of them united, and then Pururava was born from Buddha and Sudyumna, who is called as Sila. So then Sudyumna, because she became a female, he remembered his family guru Vashishta, because he has a responsibility to continue the kingdom, to continue the legacy of Vaivasvata Manu. Because by the mercy of his family guru Vashishta, he was transformed from the female to become the male. But now he has again become a female, so therefore he remembered his family guru Vashishta. So upon seeing Sudyumna's condition, Vashishta was greatly pained, and he desired that Sudyumna should again regain the male form. So this time he began to worship Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, pleased with Vashishta, and in order to satisfy him, at the same time, he wanted to maintain the word which he gave to Parvati. So many times life is such way that you have to please many parties. So at that time, you cannot please everyone completely. Therefore, you have to come to a compromise. So Lord Shiva said that, so let your disciple Sudyumna may remain a male for 1 month, and let him become a female for another month. In this way, let him rule the kingdom as he likes. So here, the 38th verse. You can read the 38 and 39th verse translation. 38, 39.
O King Parikshit, Lord Shiva was pleased with Vasishta. Therefore, to satisfy him and to keep his own word to Parvati, Lord Shiva said to that saintly person, your disciple, Sudyumna, may remain a male for a month and a female for the next. In this way, he may rule the world as he likes.
So Lord Shiva gave this actually compromise or win-win situation, so that he does not displease Uma, and also he does not displease Vashishta. So here Prabhupada says that the word Gotraja is significant in this connection. Brahmanas generally act as spiritual masters of two dynasties. One is the disciplic succession, and the other is in the dynasty born of their semen. So both the descendants belong to the same Gotra. In the Vedic system, we sometimes find that both Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and even Vaishyas come in the disciplic succession of the same rishis. So because the Gotra and the dynasty are one, there is no difference between the disciples and the family born of the semen. So sometimes there is a one is a dynasty through the Guru Sishya Parampara, another is the dynasty through the seminal discharge, the seminal disciplic succession. Yeah, of course, the disciplic succession, where a person is the disciple of a guru, although the disciple may not be directly the son of the guru, but this is in one sense more important than being the son of the guru. We find in the first chapter of the Gita. So Sanjaya could hear what was happening in the battlefield of Kurukshetra by the mercy of Vyasadeva. And he was narrating things to Dhritarashtra because Dhritarashtra was blind. Vyasa Prasada Shrutavan Yetad Gukyam Agam Param Yogam Keshavarjunayo Punya Samyagich. So he says that by the mercy of Vyasadeva, I heard this conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. So, so being the disciple of a guru is more important than being even the son of a guru. The disciple follows the teachings of the guru, but many times the son may not follow the teachings of the father. So, can read the next few verses, translation 40, 41, 42.
Thus, being favored by the spiritual master, according to the words of Lord Shiva, Sudyumna regained his desired maleness every alternate month, and in this way ruled the kingdom, although the citizens were not satisfied with this. O king, Sudyumna had three very pious sons, named Utkala, Gaya, Bimala, who became the kings of the Dakshina path. Thereafter,
Yeah.
thereafter, when the time was ripe, when Sadyumna, the king of world, was sufficiently old, he delivered the entire kingdom to his son Pururva and entered the forest.
So Sudyumna, he was male for 1 month and 1 month female, actually. This is in one sense even more terrible, painful condition. At least previously, he was only a male or he was only a female. But now, male for 1 month and female for another month. And although it was done with a good intention, but it created even more confusion among the citizens. So 1 month you would be ruling the kingdom, and then another 1 month you will become a female. So citizens were not happy with this. So one may think, what is the problem? A female can also rule, one may say like that. So you have to see from the point of view, especially from the society point of view. So generally, it's Kshatriyas duties involve a lot of power and passion and attacking the enemies. So female body is not suitable for such particular actions. And moreover, even if somebody is suitable, but then it causes confusion among the people, because you see certain roles, there are different roles in the society. Certain roles have to be, when they are played by certain people, then there is acceptability among the common people. If we, without understanding that, say, particular social scenario, when we try to make a decision, oh, this role can be played by anybody, then it can create a confusion. So here is the case of a Sudyumna. As a male, he was ruling the kingdom for 1 month, and then 1 month he became a female. It created confusion. I was just thinking, similar thing about say female Diksha Guru, when we talk about it. So in the West, it may not cause confusion because in the West, it may there's a completely different culture people are used to. Suppose in the Indian scenario, suppose if there is a female Diksha Guru or something, then because the society in India still the Varnashram culture is present, and people accept a particular role when it is played by somebody. When we talk about so therefore these sensitivities have to be kept in mind. So here, see, Lord Shiva, in order to please Vasishta, he transformed Sudyumna into a male for 1 month and then female for 1 month. Of course, he didn't. He gave that blessing, but the citizens got even more confused. Sometimes when there is no king, that will create a chaos in the society. Or when there is an unqualified king, like Vena was an unqualified king, so therefore that created so much a problem. And then Vena was killed when there was no king, that also created problem. And sometimes when there is a qualified king, but he's in a male body for 1 month, female body for another month. So it creates a confusion. People have to change their mindset, and this thing for 1 month they have to think like that. 1 month they have to think different way, and then it will create such a confusion. So, so similarly, so therefore sometimes these things have to be kept in mind. Sometimes, like here, one may say Sudimna as a female also he could have ruled, but then the society was not accepting a female in that role as a king. The citizens were confused, and then later Sudyumna, at the appropriate time, he actually retired. He gave the kingdom to Pururava and entered the forest. So before I go to the next chapter, if anybody has any questions or comments or anything they want to share, any other point of view, they can share here.
Guruji, there is a question from here.
Hare Krishna. So you're talking about that Vyas Prasada, by the mercy of Vyas, Sanjay could see what is happening. So regarding that, some Acharya says that Bhagavad Gita was like, which happened and then later he spoke, or was it live spoken? And because then there is like Vyas mercy means that he was seeing live. Otherwise it happened already, he saw and then he spoke. So what is great in that? So which one is true?
No, even in that case also, Sanjaya was there, not there in the battlefield, he was there in the palace. From the palace, he could see what was happening by the mercy of Vyasadeva. Either he narrated live to Dhritarashtra or he narrated later to Dhritarashtra. But Sanjaya was definitely bestowed Jnana Drishti by the Vyasadeva to witness what is happening in the battlefield, not only just the events which were happening in the battlefield, but by the mercy of Vyasadeva, Sanjaya could also understand what is going on in the minds of the warriors in the battlefield. And he could also understand the mind of what is Dhritarashtra. Therefore, he was narrating appropriately.
But
Even
which one is true? Means what when we preach, like what should we tell? Whether it's like live, he was telling, or it happened and later he spoke.
according to Mahabharata version, it's explained that I think at the particular say 10th day of the battle or something like that. At that time, Dhritarashtra is asking this question: what did my sons and the Pandavas do? And then Sanjay is narrating this. That's how the Mahabharata version is there. So I don't know whether in the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita there's a different version is there in the verses. That's how it is described in the Mahabharata. But at the same time, we don't emphasize on that. Oh, this was narrated to by Sanjaya later after certain days in the battlefield. That was not the. That's not the point of something emphasis. We want to listen what actually Krishna spoke to Arjuna in the battlefield. This is according to Mahabharata. That's how it is described. That after say 10 days or something, what happened? Sanjay was narrating that. But even if sometimes if people find it difficult to, they keep arguing, oh, this is correct or that is correct. Sometimes Prabhupada may be saying, might have said different, that Sanjay is narrating live to Dhritarashtra, but Mahabharata is saying like that. So somebody is arguing based on that, we can just say, okay, you accept whatever you want, and we can just focus on, okay, what is spoken by Krishna to Arjuna in the Gita. So we can leave it like that.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I had a query. I mean, we've read this ninth canto multiple times, but always I had this query that why is the ninth canto called the liberation, and from what aspect, it has been named as Mukti?
Mukti. Say one thing which is mentioned by Jiva Goswami, a different topic, different cantos are named after the different topics. But these topics they are presented throughout the Bhagavatam. For example, Sarga, Visarga, they come in different cantos of the Bhagavatam, but they may come predominantly in a particular canto. Therefore, that canto is named in that way. The ninth canto is named Mukti because I'm just guessing, because there are descriptions of the different kings, how they attained liberation, how they perfected their life. Yayati Maharaj attaining perfection, Ambarish Maharaj attaining perfection, Vaivasvata Manu achieving perfection. Maybe I'm just thinking like that. Because, so in that way we can think. But even in the ninth canto, yeah, we find the other topics also coming. Like for example, creation was briefly described, how Brahma was born. So Sarga also comes. So it is like, so Bhagavatam is essentially about one topic, that is Ashraya Tattva. Ashraya Tattva is about Krishna. All the other 9 topics are presented in such a way to highlight the Ashraya Tattva. Ashraya Tattva is like the deity in the altar. And the different focus lights are actually placed in appropriate posture, appropriate place, and they are switched on at the appropriate time in order to bring focus on the deities according to the time. The night time, certain lights are on, certain lights are off. Mangalarti time, certain lights are on, certain lights are off. Shringar Arti time, certain lights are on, certain lights are off. So similarly, in the different cantos of the Bhagavatam, some focus lights are prominent and some focus lights are not very prominent. But the purpose of the focus lights in the different cantos in the Bhagavatam, that is ultimately to highlight the Ashraya Tattva. In that sense, Bhagavatam is essentially about one topic. And in all the cantos, you will find all the topics. For example, there's a lemon rice is there. So the main thing in the lemon rice is the rice. But there are so many ingredients are added in the lemon rice in order to make that rice actually tasty. Lemon is added, rice added, salt is added, jeera is added and different other things. Kadipata is added. Sometimes in certain one serving they are putting in that uh, rice will be there in prominent, but maybe kadipata may not be there in that particular spoon. Or in certain this one, 2-3 mirchis may come. And certain spoon when they are serving, maybe. But that way, different cantos, some topics become prominent, some topics are less prominent, especially among the 9 topics. But the focus is to highlight the Ashraya Tattva.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sounds convincing. And even this second level of faith and the first hand faith. So it means what I feel is that currently, even I think myself also, I also have a second hand faith, because if I had first hand faith, then definitely I would be really, really very surrendered soul. So how can I go from the second, hand faith to the first hand faith?
No, first hand faith. No, second hand faith, first hand faith means second hand faith means we are following a particular process because somebody whom you love, that person is practicing.
Okay.
Not because you are convinced in that process. It's like suppose your father or mother is practicing, therefore I am practicing. That's the second hand faith. First hand faith means first hand faith does not mean that one has to be a purely surrendered soul or one has to be a pure devotee without any anarthas. But first hand faith means okay, you understand. Okay, this is this is how it is mentioned in the Shastra. This is how truths are present, the different subject matters are presented, and then you are after understanding your doubts are cleared, and then you are understanding this is the process, this is the goal of life, and then based on that you are following the process based on the faith in the Shastra. That is the first hand faith. It did not mean that one has to be like highly elevated or something like that. So essentially, first-hand faith means what? It means that faith based on the Shastra. Shraddha hi Shastrartha Vishwasa, faith in the Shastric statements. So second-hand faith is you are following something because of because of the faith in the particular person who is following the process. First-hand faith is that following something because of faith in the Shastra.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Krishna
bro.
Prabhuji. So in the 8th canto, end of 8th canto, you said Satyavrata became Manu in the next Manvantara. So is it in the after he took a new birth or in the next Manvantara? Or like we hear that Matsya comes and he protected king and all the sages during the time of Pralaya. What exactly happened after that Pralaya? He continued ruling for some time, then again he became Manu in the next Manvantara. Like what are the whole series of events?
I didn't see this message. Can we have a break for 5 minutes? We can have a break on 5 minutes. I'll just devotees, if they want to take a break, they can go. I'll just, since he has asked the question, I will answer this question. So, Shraddha Deva Manu, I think it appears, I'm not exactly remembering, but he took birth in the next Manvantara. He was born as a Manu. Because previously he was King Satyavrata, and King Satyavrata was born as the son of Vivaswan. So there he became the Vaivasvata Manu. So in the next birth, he was born as Vaivasvata Manu. In the previous birth, he was King Satyavrata.
So after Matsya protected them, again he ruled for some time, like in the previous Manu. With,
Maybe after that lifetime is over, then he was born as the king of son of our son of Vivaswan.
thank you, Guruji.
Can we have break now, and then after break some more questions are there, and then
Okay, yeah, yeah,
so Guruji,
yes,
5 minute break is okay.
yes, yes, okay.
Hare Krishna, 5 minute break, then we'll again resume. Hare Krishna.
I will end at 1:25. Now we'll have 5 minutes break. Yes, yes.
One question.
Yeah. This question, it seems that the sixth change happened by the will of the Lord to teach us something. So what can we learn from this episode? Suvarna Gaurahari Prabhu has asked. So, yeah, in the story, Vaivasvata Manu was dissatisfied and Vasishtha Rishi worshipped, he pleased Vishnu, and then Ila turned into Sudyumna. But if we see, the will of the Lord, usually depending on the desire of the living entity, the Lord actually reciprocates. If Vasishtha Rishi had prayed, if we said that, okay, instead of transforming this daughter into a male, maybe just be satisfied with this daughter, or let us perform another yajna to get a male or something like that, then it would not have happened. Like in the sense, Vasishtha Rishi, there are not many purports in this verses, but what I'm just seeing based on these verses, generally will of the Lord actually fulfills the desire based on the desire of the particular person who is approaching him. Ye yatamam prapatyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. So Lord exactly desired that. We don't know, like for example, in Daksha Prajapati's episode, Daksha Prajapati, he wanted capacity to procreate unlimited number of children. And the Lord also wanted the creation to proceed in that way. He wanted the creation to progress. And therefore, the Lord was happy with Daksha Prajapati's desire. And then he granted that desire. So from one point of view, it was the Lord's will that the creation should proceed. But at the same time, we can say it is the Lord's will. But at the same time, that Daksha Prajapati had desire to procreate. He wanted capacity to procreate a lot of children. And so that was also an initiative on the part of Daksha Prajapati. And whenever a person gets involved in activity which involves a lot of passion, then one may also commit certain mistakes. One may commit some offenses, or one may fail to understand the greatness of an elevated personality, because passionate activities, passion is required to accomplish something. But when there is excessive passion is involved, one becomes more into the bodily platform, and the result is that one may commit some aparad, one may fail to understand certain elevated personality. And that's what happened in the life of Daksha. He failed to understand Narada Muni, and then he cursed Narada Muni. So Daksha Prajapati, like, it's a different topic, but Daksha Prajapati, he prayed for unlimited capacity to procreate children. That was also the desire of the Lord, the creation should proceed. But we cannot say it was just absolutely the will of the Lord. The Daksha Prajapati wanted, and therefore Lord also fulfilled. So in this connection also we can see, ultimately everything happens by the will of the Lord. Nothing, not even a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. With the Lord wanted a personality like Pururava to take birth from the union of Buddha and Sudyumna. But even in that, these individual players, individual characters who are taking part in this stories, they also had a certain, say, stubborn desire or a certain determined desire. Okay, I want only a son. I don't somehow do something so that I can, this daughter can be changed into a male. Uh, so just like Chitraketu Maharaj was very stubborn about, okay, I want somehow or other I get a son. So here Vaivasvata Manu somehow he wanted, okay, I want a son only. Please do something to change this daughter into a male. So there was also a desire. Anybody has any other thing they want to share?
Just in this regard only, this question, like you said that Lord Shiva gave benediction. But this benediction, like somebody can think also, 1 month somebody will remain male, other month somebody will remain female. It does not look, even from the human perspective, very good benediction. Because means the benediction can be given for 10 years you will remain male, 10 years you will remain female. So means I mean to say, because there is, as you also said that in Bhagavatam, all things details are not given here. So there can be some karmic reactions involved in the Sadhumna life, which he had to suffer in this way. That's why he was given in, because Lord Shiva also, he is a Characharam Guru. He knows everything, what is future going to come, how he will be frustrated in future also. He's not like an ordinary soul like all of us. He's like Lord Vishnu, means he knows many, many things. Lord Shiva. So when he's giving benediction, so is he giving benediction based upon his karma that he has to suffer in this way? Like Chitraketu Maharaj was given benediction because we were too attached. So he was having Harsha Shok. So he became devotee later. Now this Sadyumna became frustrated later. And he took to Banprasth life later. Means nobody was happy. So what was the karmic reaction in his life, or what was the thinking of Lord Shiva? Because if you see the first time when Vasisht Muni asked from Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord has no means no thought for making him suffer or anything. He told, okay, let him be man. But when he asked from Lord Shiva is telling 1 month male, 1 month female. And even the same kind of thing we find in Daksha Prajapati also. He told him you will have a goat head there. So because he had done the offense. But here Sadyumna does not look to some karmic reaction is there with him, or why? Because he is suffering a lot here. So yeah, about this.
Yeah, generally when the demigods give certain benedictions or curses or something, it's according to their karma only. The Chayeva Karma Shachiva, that verse comes in the 11th canto. The demigods give benedictions or curses exactly according to the karma, just like a shadow follows a person. We can't say that. So you could have given 10 years male, 10 years female. That would be a better situation. No, it's not like that. But he could have thought 1 month male, 1 month female. Because 10 years male, 10 years female, that means like for 10 years there will be no king. Then during the 10 years, so many people can capture the kingdom actually. So maybe he could have thought, okay, instead of that, maybe 1 month male, 1 month female. So both the benedictions have certain plus point and certain negative points. If we see from the point of view of 10 years without a king, that's a disadvantage for the kingdom. So therefore he thought, let it be 1 month male, 1 month female. But the disadvantage in this benediction is that you have to keep adjusting by the time, so 1 month you became a male, by the time you got used to certain thing, by the time 29th day, 30th day has come, and then suddenly you will become a female. And then, so when you get adjusted to the female body, already some 20 days have passed, and then within 1 week you turn into a male. So you have to keep adjusting yourself between the male body and female body. So it is definitely some karmic reaction must be there for Sudyumna. It's sometimes the previous life stories of that person. It may be mentioned in other Puranas. I'm not aware of the more details. If somebody is aware, they can also share. Maybe I can try to do some research. There is some more details involving this character. But we cannot say that 10 years benediction is a better proposal. This one, both the things has a plus and minus, and it's also definitely Sudimna must also be having certain karma. According to that karma only, this benediction is given. And because Lord Shiva has given a benediction to Ambika that any male who enters here, he'll become a female. For those words also have to be maintained. Many times, if we one thing we find consistently in the different stories, certain benedictions are given by a particular devata to a person. Brahma gave a benediction to Hiranyakashipu. So Narsingadev satisfied all those conditions and then killed Hiranyakashipu. Lord can do, he can break those conditions, and also he could have killed Hiranyakashipu with a weapon. He could have come in a normal human form and he could have killed Hiranyakashipu. It's not that he is bound by those benedictions, but still the Lord actually maintains those benedictions, because he otherwise, if he does not maintain those benedictions, then people will lose faith in the universal system of the devatas. The Lord actually comes and favors his devotees, like he killed Hiranyakashipu to show favor to Prahlad Maharaj. But at the same time, he did not disrupt the universal system of demigods giving benediction to a particular person. He satisfied those conditions. At the same time, he actually showed his favor to Prahlad. So even in the case of Bali Maharaj, Lord showed his favor to Bali Maharaj. He gave him Sutala Loka and personally became the doorkeeper. But then, although Bali Maharaj is in one sense more qualified than Indra, he said, in this Manvantara, you cannot become the Indra. Only in the next Manvantara, you can become the Indra. Because to become an Indra, certain qualification is required, 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. And he didn't want to change that system. He didn't want to whimsically change the Indra in between. Although Bali Maharaj is a better devotee than Indra and is more qualified, he said, you can become Indra only in the next life. So generally those universal system is maintained. So in that way, Lord Shiva had given a benediction to Ambika. Therefore, those words also have to be maintained. At the same time, Vasishta, so worship should also not go in vain. Therefore, he came to a in-between thing. 1 month male, 1 month female. How this topic of importance of male gender be presented in the modern times, where there is a philosophy of equality of gender. So we have to, one thing, when we talk about the equality, one of the basic concept is the equality on what platform actually. Equality can be talked about on the spiritual platform, but on the bodily platform, we cannot talk about equality. Bodily platform, male is different and female is different. So the equality, generally the communists or certain liberal people, they talk about equality on the bodily platform. So if the equality is there on the bodily platform, then why the Lord created two genders, male and female? If both are equal, then he could have just created only males or only females. So essentially, one of the modern scenario or the the left wing mindset is that they try to destroy the diversity. I discussed maybe some classes before, if somebody remembers. Like they, for example, when we talk about agriculture, there were different varieties of grains were there growing in India. So many hundreds of varieties of rice were growing in India. But when the modern agriculture started, mechanized agriculture or different, the chemical agriculture started, the varieties of grains have reduced. And previously there were so many varieties of desi cows were there in different parts of India. Each state would have different varieties of desi cows. But after they introduced this mixed breed Jersey cows and this thing, the varieties of desi cows have reduced. So one of this materialistic mindset, they try to go against the natural system created by God. The natural system created by Krishna has one of the fundamental characteristic of the natural system created by Krishna is that there is diversity everywhere. There will be diversity in the different types of crops, diversity in the different types of grains, diversity in the different varieties of cows. And the materialistic mindset or a demonic mindset, they try to go against the system of Krishna. So they try to destroy the diversity. They destroy the diversity in agriculture, they destroy the diversity in the varieties of cows. And then they come to the, they try to destroy the diversity between the male and the female. So therefore, we have to understand that like both have their unique role, both have their certain strength and the weakness. And talking about the equality on the bodily platform, that is an artificial thing. You can talk about the equality on a spiritual platform. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Sapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha or Sarvabhuteshu Yenekam Bhavam Avayam, that knowledge in the mode of goodness. That means actually seeing the spirit soul in everybody. So we have to, that's how we can present these other thoughts.
Yes, Pradeep. Thank you very much.
So I'll go ahead to the second chapter. Maybe at least we'll discuss for 15 minutes. We'll be end before 1:30. So the second chapter, the dynasties of the sons of Manu. Sukadeva Goswami continued, when a son Sudyumna had thus gone to the forest to accept the order of Vanaprastha, so Vaivasvata Manu, with a desire to get more sons, he performed very severe austerities on the bank of the Yamuna for 100 years. So because of his desire for the sons, the Shraddha Deva worshipped the Supreme Lord. So he got 10 sons exactly like himself. So among them all, Ikshvaku was the eldest. So now he got 10 sons. So this among these actually Ikshvaku was the eldest. And one of these 10 sons is Prishadra. Prishadra is one among the 10 sons. And the story of Prishadra is described briefly in the next 10 verses. So we'll try to cover that. So Prishadra, out of these, one of the 10 sons, Prishadra, like following the order of his guru, he dedicated his life for protecting the cows. He was a Kshatriya, but he didn't get married just for the sake of actually protecting the cows. He would stand whole night without sleeping with a sword and with great attention. With great attention. So Prabhupada says that you can imagine like the importance of cow protection, that sometimes the Kshatriya will take this vow to protect the cows from the ferocious animals even at night. And like because of this, like he didn't get married, he had no dynasty. So that shows the dedication or the importance of cow protection. So we can imagine what like the sending cows to the slaughterhouses. So that is why Krishna says to after subduing Kaliya, Krishna says that although I have gave so much of pain to you, don't find fault with me, because for the good of the cows, I had to do that. I had to give pain to you because cows are worthy of respect even for the devatas. Therefore, I request you to not stay here. You live far away from here. And in the Ramayana, there is a verse which comes that Vidyate Goshu Sampannam Vidyate Jnatito Bayam Vidyate Strishu Chapalyam Vidyate Jnatito Bayam. Ravana speaks this verse. Ravana says that cows are the source of prosperity. Vidyate Goshu Sampannam. There is wealth in the cows. So even according to the greatest demon in the Vedic era, he certifies that cows are the source of prosperity. And one place in Light of Bhagavata, Prabhupada says that the killing of the cows by human society is one of the grossest suicidal policies. And those who are anxious to cultivate the human spirit must turn their attention first toward the question of cow protection. And sometimes so much of there is an anecdote I read in some place actually about the importance of Gocharana Bhumi, the cow protection. Once a Chandala woman was cooking a dog flesh in a human skull as a vessel, and she was covering that vessel with a crow skin. So you see, everything which is involved is something abominable. She was a Chandala woman. She was cooking a dog flesh, which is considered to be very lowest. And that in what vessel? Human skull as a vessel, and covering it with a crow skin. And one person asked, you are doing already abominable thing. Why are you covering this preparation? Why are you covering this preparation with a crow skin? And she said, I heard that nearby a person who has stolen away the Gocharana Bhumi, who has taken away the Gocharana Bhumi, is roaming nearby. And if that person's eye fall on this preparation, it will become more contaminated. Therefore, I am protecting this preparation from that person's drishti. Isme drishti lag jayega. Like that she said. So this is a small anecdote which shows that how a person who takes away the Gochar and Bhumi was considered highly sinful. So anyway, here, so this Prishadra was protecting the cows. One night, what happened? A tiger entered the cow shed. And upon seeing the tiger, all the cows which were lying down, they got up in fear and scattered here and there in the cow pen. And so when Prishadra heard the sound of the cows, and he could understand that the tiger has actually seized the cow, and the cow started screaming in distress and fear. And Prishadra heard that screaming, immediately followed that sound. And he took up his sword. But at that day, night was like Amavasya night, or there were the stars were actually covered by the clouds. Therefore, he couldn't see anything. So he mistook that cow for the tiger, and he mistakenly cut off the cow's head with great force. So according to the Vedic culture, in order to protect the cow, you can kill a tiger. some years back when I had gone to like Gokul Dham, and devotee gave this interesting analogy. He said when two cows are fighting, you have to protect both the cows. When one cow is attacked by a tiger, then you can kill the tiger to protect the cow. There is no sin in that. So similarly, that when two statements from the Shastra, when they are contradicting each other, for example, there are something called as Veda Shruti, which talk about the difference between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. And there are other statements called as Abheda Shruti, which talk about the oneness of the living entity with the Supreme Lord. So when we encounter both these Shrutis, they conflict with each other. So you cannot reject either of the Shrutis. So therefore, there are something called as Ghataka Shrutis. Ghataka means that which unites, that which joins. So Ghataka Shrutis give such an explanation which will actually reconcile the Veda Shruti and the Abheda Shruti. So this attempt is like protecting both the cows from fighting with each other, stopping their fight and protecting both the cows. But when a statement from the Shastra is attacked by a statement outside the Shastra, then you can actually, you have to prove how the statement outside the Shastra is wrong. And that is what it means, like you can kill the tiger in order to protect the cow. When two Vaishnavas fight, one should not, when you side one Vaishnava, that is considered a Vaishnava aparad. That is like protecting one cow and killing the another cow. But when a Vaishnava is attacked by a non-Vaishnava, then we should defend the Vaishnava. So this Prashadra, he mistook the tiger for the cow, and then he mistakenly actually cut off the cow's head with great force. But at the same time, the tiger's ear had also been cut by the edge of the sword, and therefore the tiger fled in great fear from that place while bleeding on that path. And in the morning, Prashadra realized that he had killed the cow, although he thought that he had killed the tiger in the night. So he was very unhappy. So Prashadra, he committed the sin unknowingly, but his family priest Vasishta, he cursed him by saying that in your next life, you shall not be able to become like in the next life, you will become a fallen, you will not be able to become even a fallen Kshatriya. Instead, you will take birth as a Shudra. So actually, like this is an instance of over punishment, punishing more than required. Because like here, when you see Prashadra is not a person, like you have to see the dedication of a Prashadra, how he sacrificed his life just to protect the cows, not only sacrificed his pleasures in the family life, he sacrificed the night sleep. One can pleasure, one can sacrifice even other things sometimes. To sacrifice the sleep in the night time, that is a big sacrifice actually, not like the normal security guards which we see in our temple. They end up sleeping in the night time. But Prashadra, it is described that he was guarding the whole night attentively. He truly dedicated, sacrificing his sleep, sacrificing not getting married, just for cow protection. So when somebody has shown such level of dedication, and sometimes when a person has committed a mistake, you have to go deep into the circumstances in which he committed a mistake. Is it a circumstantial mistake? Was it committed knowingly or unknowingly? But Vasishta did not actually deliberate on the overall situation. He should have actually, he could have given a punishment, or but he should have given an atonement as how to get rid of that sin. But instead of giving instructions on how to get rid of that atonement, but he became excessively angry, and he cursed him that next life you will become a Shudra. So Vishwanath Chakravartipad says that because Vasishtha Rishi's intelligence had disappeared, because that's because the actions of a family priest are subject to great ignorance. So the reason is that Vasishtha he was performing many rituals just for the sake of money. So, like for example, you'll see, I think the 7th canto and the 11th canto also. In the occupations of a Brahmana, different levels of occupations are mentioned. When one of the lower level of occupation of a Brahmana is that when a Brahmana, just for the sake of Dakshina, when he actually takes part in actually different say sacrifices or something, that is like you have to see from a Vedic cultural point of view. Currently, many devotees may taking up that Brahminical occupation. That is nonsense. That is better than maybe some occupation in some company or something. But you see, from the Vedic culture point of view, even just for the sake of say Dakshina, a person performs any yajna, any this thing. So then he gets contaminated with the sinful reactions, karmic reactions involved in earning that money or in the money which he receives. So that is why when Vishwarup was requested by the demigods to become the priest, Vishwarup was reluctant. Akinchananam hitanam shilonchanam teneha nirvartita sadhu satriya. Those who are detached, they maintain themselves honestly by collecting grains left in the harvested field or left on the grain market floor. So Vishwarup felt that how can I take up the condemned profession of a priest, which gives joy only to the foolish? Even so Raghunath Das Goswami, that is why initially he was getting money from the parents and then he slowly increased his level of renunciation. Finally, he came to the level of renunciation where he was eating the leftover food by the cows. So Vasishtha, because he was actually greedy for the money from Dakshina from different yajnas, so therefore his mind was little contaminated. He didn't have the proper sense of discrimination. Therefore, he became excessively angry. So instead of giving proper atonement, he over-cursed him, he over-punished him. So the purpose of punishment is to elevate a person, and punishment should be proportional to the sin committed. But when we give more punishment than that is required, then that is a great sin. It is said in Mahabharata that one of the sign of kama or lust is that punishing more than required. So if we give less punishment, then it will not reform a person. And if we give more punishment than required, then that means you have personal vengeance towards the person. So when a person has done a particular sin unknowingly, one is supposed first to give some atonement instead of directly punishing that person. So that is why that it takes a very fine intelligence, fine maturity to administer punishment. Exactly in proportion to the act in such a way that the person gets elevated more. So I will actually discuss this more on this. Maybe we'll continue the story tomorrow. The response of Prashadra.
Prabhuji, just at the end, Prabhuji, one question has come on this topic only of cursing. So several incidents of over cursing appear like Vasishtha, Prasadra, Agast Muni cursing to Irindadumna, but there is no action for setting right on the side of the cursor. It is only explained, justified from the cursed person, like Indradum Maharaj, for their spiritual advancement. So, but on cursors, how they means how they improved in their consciousness.
Vasishta. See, in the case of Agastya Muni, Agastya Rishi did not over-punish Indradyumna Maharaj, because Jiva Goswami clearly points out that point. Agastya Rishi could see that Indradyumna Maharaj was little pretending. He clearly mentions, maybe I can tell you the words tomorrow. He was pretending. So Agastya Rishi could understand that. The Bhagavatam verse uses the word Bhagavan to refer to Agastya Rishi. That means like Agastya Rishi could understand that Indradyumna Maharaj was little forcing himself to be absorbed. He could understand what was going on in the mind of Indradyumna, and therefore he cursed him when Indradyumna did not receive Agastya and his other people. Yeah, but definitely when somebody over punishes, yeah, they will also get the reaction. They will also get the reaction. And Vasishta Rishi's story comes at least 2-3 places. 2-3 places in the 9th canto, it comes where he over punished, over cursed somebody. And they will also get their quota. Sometimes the details are mentioned, sometimes details are not mentioned.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So it's 1:30. Shall we end?
One more question is there, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, here we see in the last canto that Lord has taken as Matsya avatar just to satisfy Satyavrata Muni. And then he's the same person who is again appearing as a Manu here. And it is inconceivable to see that how the Lord, because he likes this personality, he has taken this as a avatar himself, just only for his sake, because that was not a time of even devastation also, just to show him, and then later on to take his prayers and then reciprocate with his prayers. And here he is actually right from starting for the child only he is suffering to get a child, and again later on he has to do tapasya to satisfy for getting 10 children exactly like him. And then later on the dynasties also, big dynasties came from Kurudam. So it seems to be a little inconceivable that how such great kings has a history like this, though they are pure devotees.
Yeah, when the Lord appears in an incarnation, any avatar, one is the internal reason, another is the external reason. The internal reason is in connection with the devotees. Is in connection with the pure devotees. Any avatar of Krishna, whether Matsya or Kurma, or any avatars, you'll see that one internal reason is to reciprocate with some special devotee. So Matsya avatar appeared to reciprocate with King Satyavrata. But the external reason is always to establish dharma. Or external reason is connected with the material world, to set the right order in the material world. So Krishna always harmonizes his personal desire to reciprocate with certain pure devotees who are longing in separation from him. He harmonizes that internal desire, internal reason, with the external reason of establishing the right system, establishing dharma in this world. So yeah, that is one thing I wanted to mention. So in regards to the King Satyavrata was definitely a very special person. But yeah, it's true that when he became the Vaivasvata Manu, he had to struggle hard to get a son. Yeah, that's why, like, sometimes we have a wrong expectation that just because somebody is a pure devotee, one will not go through any difficulties in his life. we assume a wrong expectation. It is like thinking that, oh, if I take ordinary chili, it will burn my tongue. But if I take Mahaprasad chili, it will not burn my tongue. Whether you take Mahaprasad chili or ordinary chili, it will chill. Mahaprasad chili, if you take, okay, there is offered to Krishna, there is some spiritual advancement, but it will definitely burn your tongue. So similarly, that even in the case of a pure devotee, when he is there in the material world, the nature of the material world in the form of the dualities, the struggles in the material world, that is also seen in the life of a pure devotees. Whether it is King Satyavrata or the Pandavas, or for that matter, any devotees. But when they go through the struggle, and by that others get inspiration through those devotees, Lord is actually showing the example for other people, how they went through the struggle. That's what I can think of.
Thank you, bro.
So shall we end here? Maybe we can take this question tomorrow. There's some question.
Some Prabhuji in the chat.
Acha. Sometimes as parents, when we see the child doing the same act again and again, because of repeated action, we tend to over punish or even scold excessively the child as it gets carried forward. How do we stop ourselves or protect from doing this? Yeah, punishment should be always balanced with affection. We learn, we at least sometimes we have to correct the children. We have to give appropriate punishment when it is required. It's not easy to it's easy to say that you have to punish exactly according to the proportion. Yeah, but definitely when you are in the actual situation in the family or different situations, to administer exactly, that's quite difficult, because we also come under the influence of our own modes. So one thing is that the more we actually increase the sattva guna, the greater clarity comes. Sometimes, because Vasishta, the reason he over punished is that he was under the influence of the rajoguna or tamoguna. The more we increase sattva guna, increasing sattva guna means different aspects of our life, choosing the different things in sattva guna. So that is one thing. Another is, we commit mistakes, but at least we can learn from that, and we can try to avoid in the next instance. And thirdly, we try to actually balance the punishment with showing affection also. Otherwise, the children, when they all the time get the experience of punishment, and then when they grow up, those memories that actually affects their psychology actually. So therefore, punishment should be balanced with affection. We increase our sattva guna to develop clarity how much to punish. If we make some mistakes, we learn from it, try not to repeat it. That's what I can think.
Thank you very much.
Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. So thank you very much.